For this video, I wanted to talk about 3 things that you could practice, proving your soloing across one single string using the minor pentatonic scale. Let's just talk about the minor pentatonic scale to start. Of course, we're so used to playing A minor pentatonic just from the 5th fret here. And if you're familiar with all of the other patterns, then you can play A minor pentatonic from the 3rd fret. We can play this from the 8th fret. We can also move this to the 10th position. This is how we normally would play and practice pentatonic scales. This idea is to take those notes in those 5 patterns and move them in more of a linear, across the fretboard type of thing, with just one string at a time. We're looking for that kind of thing. One way to at least begin to learn where the frets are, or where the notes are rather, we just want to go through each position across each string. So for example, if we started here on the 6th string, doing this kind of thing, and then just discovering where the notes are. And then of course we could do this with each string. This takes a pretty good understanding of knowing not only where the notes are, but how the patterns fall across the fretboard. There's the 4th string. Now here's the 3rd string. We could also add hammer-ons and pull-offs to this, like so for example there, I am picking the 3rd fret on the 2nd string and hammering on to the 5th fret on the 2nd string. Then sliding with my 1st finger to the 5th fret and hammering on to the 8th fret. So you get this. And then moving 8 to 10, 10 to 13, 13 to 15, 15 to 17, 17 to 20, and then 20 to 22. We can do this backwards with pull-offs as well. It makes a pretty cool sort of sequential type thing because you get these groupings of 2 notes sliding through each position. Now, of course, we could do this on the 1st string as well. And then backwards. And the slide with the pull-off, it makes for a really cool legato effect as well as you're going up and back down. So this is what I would consider sort of the first level of practicing this kind of single string technique like this, where we're moving across each position. That's going to help you to get a good understanding of where the notes are, as well as the visual idea of connecting the patterns that you've already learned with the notes in this sort of linear fashion like this. Level 2, or another idea to this kind of thing, would be to add a hammer-on and a pull-off in each one of these positions. So this would be kind of like a pick, hammer, pull. And we can do this across all 5 patterns, across all 6 strings. So it'd give you this. So what I'm doing there is I'm literally picking, hammer, pull, and then I'm going to slide to the next position. We can go back down. We could do this from the 5th string as well. And notice I'm just picking the first note out of every 3 notes before you slide. 4th string. And then obviously we're going to solo more on the top 3 strings than you are going to solo on the bottom 3. But it's good to be able to do this in any position on any string going across. So the third string there, that would be 2, 5, 2, slide to 5, 5, 7, 5, slide to 7, 7, 9, 7, slide to 9, 9, 12, 9, slide to 12, 12, 14, 12, slide to 14. That's 14, 17, 14, slide to 17, 17, 19, 17, slide to 19, 19, 21, back to 19. Second string. So making phrases with these kind of ideas would be to pick your notes accordingly and think about where you want to begin and end a phrase to make your ideas. And this is something that when you're playing single string soloing ideas like this comes really natural because it limits how many notes you can play in a single phrase without changing strings. Because, for example, if I was to do sort of G, A, E, right out of A minor pentatonic here in the 7th position, then I would think maybe even go up to the C that's on the first string, and you could do that all in the same position. Sort of blues phrase right there, right? So that gives you E, G, A, and C, which would be the 5th, the flat 7, the root, and the minor 3rd. What if you took that same sort of idea, put the E here on the 2nd string, and then instead of playing the C on the 1st string, we could play the C on the 13th fret of the 2nd string. So that gives you a unique way to play that phrase, or any phrase that you make up, or say, for example, if you wanted to bend into the C from the B here, so then you do like, so this single string idea gives you, right off the bat, just a simple way to come up with phrases that you hear guitar players play all the time. At least for me, was never quite sure how you would get started learning those phrases other than just reading the tablature from somebody else playing it and learning it. This is a way for you to build your own ideas and to build your own vocabulary. With sort of level 1 here and level 2 going across one scale like this over all 6 strings, you're going to get a good understanding of where these notes fall pretty quickly, especially because you're limiting how many notes you can play just because of the idea of playing across one string. You're going to very quickly, if you're, for example, isolated just the 2nd string, so you're going to see that's 3, 5, 8, 10, 13, 15, 17, 20, and 22. And of course, that's the pentatonic scale, A minor pentatonic, starting from D, going up to the A here. And then going backwards would be A, G, E, D, C, B, A, E, and then D. So building phrases off of just one string like this will give you just a ton of different ideas and a different way to approach making phrases. Now, say a third level to this kind of thing to help you to bring this a little bit more to the advanced level. This idea of going hammer, pull, slide, or pick, hammer, pull, slide type thing, you could build upon that by playing a phrase and then sliding up to the next note in the scale. So in this case would be G, so that's D, E, back to D. And then I'm just going to go back to my 3rd finger from the E and slide up to the G. So you could do that again in the next position. And then definitely an awesome way to break out of the box, as you hear all the time. I love the sound of that sort of hammer pull slide type thing. You don't need to put the hammer pull off in there. You could just go, or you could go and start shifting the direction. So say if you slide up, slide back down, then slide up to the G. Or go right up all 4 notes to make a longer sort of legato phrase. There's just a lot of possibilities for this type of thinking and this type of playing. You could also even bend in and out of notes within the limitations of the scale. You could bend whole steps and half steps by not only bending notes that are in the scale, but also notes that are outside of the scale into a note that's in the scale. So for example, if I was to go using that first phrase, but what if I bent into this G from F sharp, the 7th fret? There's G sharp bent up to the pitch of A. And as you're bending into that note, you hear that F sharp being out of key, of course, but as long as you get to the G within a timely manner, then that's going to keep you in key and get the note sounding very pretty, very vocal-like. Of course, you don't have to hang on the note being flat for too long, but the more you can play with the listener's ear, the more you can pull people in by how emotional that sort of idea sounds. So there's a half-step bend where I'm bending the note B, which is in A minor, up to C. But of course, B is the 9th of an A minor. You hear that? Same idea there on the first string, which you, of course, can do this on any string. That's sort of level 4. I do have lessons on this on my site. If you click the link below, that will take you over to practicetheguitar.com. And there you can sign up and practice along with this stuff. I have exercises doing this at 15 tempos with backing tracks at 15 tempos that you can practice with, a full lesson video on all of these exercises. And this will give you a really solid way to practice something that, at least from what I've found, seems very elusive because there's a lot of possibilities and a lot of variation. It's really difficult to pinpoint exactly what you should be practicing to get better at this stuff. But what you should be practicing to get better at this stuff is learning where the notes are and learning how to navigate in between each one of those notes in as many different ways as possible. That's really what you're looking for, and that's what's going to really help you when you get to the gig and go to utilize this in one of your solos. Hope you enjoyed this lesson. Check out my site. See you next time.